You're very welcome to Competent Women Islands YouTube channel with me, Roisin Leclerc. As a life, business, media relations, and mindset confidence coach and professional trainer, I am thrilled to be speaking to Mary Curran, who is one of Ireland's most experienced coaches and coach mentors. Mary has worked full-time in coaching profession since she qualified with the Life and Business Coaching Association of Ireland and a coach with Ville, Nevada in USA in 2001. Prior to becoming a coach, Mary worked in public relations and marketing in the ESB and then set up her own business, Palbano Pantry, an Australian-style restaurant which she ran successfully for 9 years, winning the ESB Innovative Business Ideas Competition in 1998. And while in the restaurant, Mary went on to win the Best Customer Service and the Best Cup of Coffee in Dublin City and the county with Bewley's. Following the opening of their Centre of Professional and Personal Development, Mary then recognised the need for the Centre for Coaching and hence, in 2002, opened the Coach Centre Limited. Mary was part of a team in the ICDN, Irish Coaching Development Network, working in competencies and coaching. Mary is the founder member of the Life and Business Coaching Association of Ireland and of the Association for Coaching in Ireland. Mary has also published a coaching book. In this podcast, we'll be talking about procrastination. Mary, we have your book here, and in this book, we were just talking off from page 62 to 82, 20 pages, talking about writing about procrastination, which we're going to talk about now. But let's give this book a plug, because every time I read this book, I get another wow, aha moment. Just like I did when you say honesty with integrity, which we spoke about in the podcast number 1, and also don't talk about anybody unless they're in the room. Yeah. I've learned so much from you as a coach as well, but I've learned so much from you, Mary. I really have. So, Mary, life begins when you're ready to listen. How can people source your book?
Yeah, they can source it on my website. They can just go there and drop me an email and I'll get a book to them. Or else they can buy it on amazon.co.uk or amazon.com, or the publishers themselves, with the division of A House, Balboa Press. They can buy it there as well.
I love the book. And as I say every week, I love even the title of the book. I just love it. But I love the content. I love the tone of the book. I love the feel when I'm reading it. I love my aha moments. And I just feel, as I said in episode 1, it's like sitting on my sofa having my very own little holistic coaching retreat. I love it, Mary. I just love it. I really, really do. And again, you like color, and I like color, and the book is colorful. It's warm, just like the tone of the book. I think it's just really gentle, loving, and it also makes you feel like you love yourself, and that's the most important thing. And connecting, what I get from the book as well is you're showing and explaining and describing how we can reconnect to ourselves to coaching.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I must say, it was a pleasure to write it. I mean, it just flowed, different areas just flowed together. So.
Yeah. So, Mary, procrastination. First of all, I start off at the very beginning. What is procrastination?
It's when you leave off the job that you were meant to do today, and you leave it off for another day, and you keep saying I'll do it tomorrow, but when tomorrow comes, you're still not doing it. And loads of people, I would say nearly 100% of people at some stage will procrastinate. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing is some people procrastinate on little things, which isn't too bad. But when you procrastinate on major, let's say an opportunity or something, and you do procrastinate on it because you're afraid of something, because fear comes into it, then you can find it very difficult to deal with yourself after the opportunity has passed that you didn't act on, because you will be giving out to yourself. You'll be saying, I missed out on that opportunity. And the only person that stopped me from making that chance or that challenge alive and creating something was myself. So it plays havoc, and the gremlin feeds it. The gremlin, the little voice in your head, it feeds procrastination. It says, after you're okay doing, yeah, leave it until tomorrow, or leave it until you get a cup of coffee, or leave it until the afternoon, and then you don't do it. And I do give a lot of examples in the book, you know, where there was a girl working with me and she kept procrastinating about asking the boss for a rise. And every time she'd be in with me, she said, I'll do it this week, I guarantee I'll do it. And you know the way, as you know, Roshan, coaching makes you accountable. But no
Yes.
matter how accountable I was making her, she was still procrastinating. So I had to drill down and find out what was the real fear behind it. And actually, with her, it wasn't a fear. She actually didn't think she was worthy of it. So it was
Really?
actually a limiting belief she had about herself. Yeah. Yeah.
Why is it women have that sort of mindset that we're not worthy of it, or or we don't bring the same value, and we shouldn't be paid the same value as the men?
Well, I've come across over the years a lot with women, you know, that they just, you know, they won't ask for that promotion, where the men, nothing stopping them. If there's an opportunity, they're going to look for it straight away. Yeah, I think it is with women a lot. It is. It's definitely with some of the women I've worked with. That's what stopped them, was they didn't think they were worthy enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is procrastination then a behavior, and then it becomes a habit, or a habit it becomes a behavior?
That's a really good question. It is a habit, but I think what happens when children are growing up, we're like sponges when we're 0 to 7 living in the house with our family. And it can be a learned behavior that then manifests itself as an adult as a habit. Because we're not born with procrastination. We never was born with bad habits, but we develop them as we go through life. And sometimes it happens when, you know, you have seen family members leave things off or put that off. And, you know, like, you know, and I do mention in the book, you know, the plumber that never fixes his own sink.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people procrastinate on their own jobs.
Yeah.
And this is all about valuing themselves and valuing their time. And nobody can tell me. I often would do a show of hands in the group and say, can I have a show of hands on people that tell me they value their time? And people would go, oh yeah, they all put their hands up. And then I said, can I have a show of hands for anyone that procrastinates? And they all put their hand up. And I go, hold on a moment. The reality in life is, if you are procrastinating, you don't value your time. Because if you value your time, you don't procrastinate. So
Ah,
I said, you should tell yourselves a lie.
say that again. I love that.
Okay. So I would get them to say, I'd ask the question, you know, do you value, a show of hands of who values their time? And everybody would put up their hand. And then I say to them, now can I have a show of hands for people to procrastinate? And again, everybody would put their hand up. And I'm going, well, I'm asking you, do you value your time? And you've all said yes. The reality though is, if you value your time, you won't procrastinate. So if you procrastinate, the reality is you don't value your time, and you don't.
That. I never thought about it that way before.
Yeah. If you procrastinate, you're not valuing your time.
I'm
And
going to remember that when I need to clean out my hot press. I'm going and clean out them cupboards and the drawers and stuff like that.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I found lately, and I was never like this before, and I've been having this conversation with myself, Mary. I'm procrastinating now, which I've never done before, about housework
right.
and ironing. Now, I don't know if it's an age thing, because I'm 57, middle-aged. Oh, I've done that all my life.
Yeah,
But I've actually had this conversation with myself the last couple of weeks, why I've been procrastinating about doing certain things around the house. But you talk about that later on. We'll come to that later on. So I must say, okay, I must value my time. I'm gonna say that. Do I value my time? To
yeah.
stop procrastinating, doing it now. Do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Don't waste time.
Yeah.
Value your time. I
Yeah.
love that. What's another one I'm going to steal from you, Mary? Well, I won't steal. I borrow from you, and I will quote you.
Well, I really know when I say that to people, like when I've been working with them, they would go, "My, I never thought of it like that." And I'm going, but that is the reality.
Yeah.
Procrastination is the thief of time. So if you value your time, you won't be procrastinating on anything. Now, the interesting thing is there's little things we procrastinate on, but then I think I remember one time studying procrastination, and I think there's 10 different types of procrastination, you know, little times, but it can become chronic. If you become a chronic procrastinator, it can take over your life. It can ruin your life.
Really?
Yeah, it can. It can ruin your life. Yeah. Because you
But
miss out on opportunities and you stand in you stay in the comfort zone and you don't do anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
So missing opportunities and failing to carry out the necessary jobs.
Yeah.
So you also write in the book that procrastination interferes with the structure of your day.
Yeah, it does, because believe it or not, as Lord bless Dr. Wayne Dyer, he'd always say, we are energy beings having a human experience. And I
Yes.
totally believe that.
Yeah,
Totally
I
believe.
do. Yeah.
So if you, I know this happens to me. If I do procrastinate, and I do the odd time, I'm human, so I do the odd time procrastinate, it would be playing on my mind right throughout the day. So my energy wouldn't be at the highest it should be at, because I would be saying, oh, I still didn't do that, or I still didn't write that, or I didn't send that. And it would be playing on my mind all day. So my energy would be lower than normal.
Yeah. And
But
it's,
the interesting thing about procrastination and the difference between how how to move away from procrastinating and setting goals. In setting goals, as you know, we always choose the primary goals first, the most important goals first. However, if somebody is procrastinating a lot, let's say they're really bad, it wouldn't work if you said, okay, that's a serious one you're procrastinating and you need to stop doing that right now. You've got to remember they've developed a habit.
yes.
And in breaking a habit, you don't deal with the biggest one first. You deal with the smallest one so you can build up an external reference. Oh, well, I used to procrastinate doing this. Now I don't do it anymore. So what you're doing is you're building up the external reference. Well, I've stopped that. I'm not procrastinating on that anymore. So now I'm going to move to what else am I procrastinating on? So when I get them to do the list of what they're procrastinating on, I always say to them, start with the smallest one first. Stop procrastinating on that, and then you're building your own reference then as you go along, you know.
It's like also small goals. It's like that chunk your big goal down to your smaller goals. So procrastinate, use your stop
Yeah,
procrastinating on the smaller things, and that gets you to your end goal.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I
It gives
like
you the
that.
confidence. It gives you the confidence then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people really mentally knock themselves, their mindset, knocking themselves, and I missed out on this, and I missed out on that. And like when you go through their life, they're kind of saying, well, you know, I didn't realize I procrastinated far more than I realized. Because sometimes they wouldn't realize how much they procrastinate.
Yeah, because we need structure in our lives, and you say with that is failing to complete the necessary tasks, you duck and dive in order to avoid doing them. And we are human, and we do like structure in our lives, don't
Yeah.
we?
Yeah, I think structure and discipline is really important in our lives for sure. And sometimes, you know, it's really interesting to kind of say, you know, what did I make? I mean, I think in the book I talk about the opportunity I left by, but I had to work on that. I went myself to a coach about that because there was a big opportunity and I just didn't get back to them, and they're asking me to give my course in Greece. And it was on my table every day, and every day I said, I'm going to answer that form and fill it out and send it to, and I never did. So when I worked with the coach, she drilled down to find out, what was the reason you didn't do it? And out of that came the fear. I was a bit afraid, and I allowed the fear stop me from sending off the application. And
Right.
that was a big opportunity because I would have loved to have worked over there. And if I ran it, I was going to be asked to run it a few times. And it was a 6-week course. So I could have ran it 3 times maybe. And I would have been living over there. I'd have loved it, you know, but
Oh
it
God,
all,
I'd
yeah,
love to go to Greece.
yeah,
That's on my
it
that's on
is,
my next my bucket list, I have to
yeah.
say.
I have been in Greece a few times. I really like it. I love the islands, you know.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
son has been there and he loves it.
Yeah. There's a
Yeah,
beautiful holistic place there called Skiros.
that's right.
And a friend of mine have gone, and that's actually I mean, I'm not knocking the company, it's a brilliant company, but that was the one that had asked me, was I interested in doing the course, you know? And they
Uh,
run courses all the time. There's another one in Spain called Contigo Remedio, and they run classes. I've gone to one or two of their weeks, and they're fabulous, fabulous. Yeah.
well, maybe Mary, what we should be doing is running a retreat between the two of us, running a retreat.
Yeah, I must say, anytime I go on anything like that, I get really not refurbished, but what's the word? Refueled. I mean, I
Yes,
feel far more energy afterwards, you know?
yeah.
You know, they're very good. We do need to sometimes just be, you know, we need to
Yeah,
go.
sometimes we just need to get away from the environment we are to go and recharge, re-energize,
Yeah.
and revitalize ourselves and get ourselves back on track.
Sometimes
And
we do need to, because
time's just for ourselves.
yeah, absolutely. Because we need, as I say, nowadays, I know it's a word they use a lot at the moment, is reset. It's reset.
Yeah.
They use it a lot. You know,
It's the new buzzword, isn't it? Reset's the new buzzword.
oh, it is. I noticed that. I've noticed that even on the news, some people are using it now. You know, it's so funny. It really
Yeah.
is funny.
Reset. Okay, what are we resetting? It's like resetting the computer. I think you know, when you think of recharge, regenerate, or regenerate, or just
Yeah,
recharge.
I'm not mad. I'm not really mad about the word reset. It
No,
just
I
doesn't,
don't like it.
you know, it just doesn't do anything for me.
No,
You know?
it's too robotic for me.
Yeah, there's something, something about it. Yeah.
Just too robotic, that word for me.
Yeah. So have you procrastinated, Rose? I didn't even ask you that question yourself. Over the years, have you found that you do procrastinate, or that you're
Yeah,
on top of the
I
most?
never used to. When I was younger, I never procrastinated. I was always a go-getter. If I had something in my head, I did it there and then. I've noticed though it was more when I became, like, my marriage broke down and I became a sole lone parent, parenting alone, mother parenting. I I procrastinated on things for me, but not the children.
Oh yes, that happens.
And
Yeah.
that's what I found. I put myself last at the
You all
very
do.
bottom of all the needs.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
now what I'm doing now is I'm making myself a priority. And that was a habit, and not procrastinating and doing what I want for me.
Yes.
And that was the hardest when when you're married and you're working as a team, and then
Yeah.
the marriage breaks down,
Yeah.
and then I was a sole provider for these sole providers, so emotionally, mentally, physically, financially,
Yeah.
for my children, that I just put my children first
Yeah.
in everything. I was the bottom of the list, as I said. So now, that's why everybody says to me, people say, "Oh, the menopause this." The menopause gave me my chutzpah back. You know, it really did.
Yeah.
The hormones just really gave me back that energy.
Yeah.
Now, I would say, now my son used to say when I was in college, "Mommy, you never leave that sofa." You know, he'd say, "You never leave that sofa." I go, "I'm tired." "Mommy, you were never tired." He could never understand. And I said, then I realized what it was. But at the same time, my menopause, my midlife, whatever happens in, I think, for a woman in the midlife,
Yeah.
it's like we brought up our children. And all that procrastination that I had for me, I started making myself a priority. And I stopped, then I realized, then, just as you mentioned, how we lose opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And valuing my time and my life, that I didn't do that, and because I just put everything was the children matter, which I should have really, in hindsight, I should have still kept a little part of me there.
Yeah.
Which I didn't.
Yeah. But I must say, Roshan, and I would have separated as well, and would have been a lone parent for a while as well. And I must say, I would have done the very same. Everything was for him, like everything, you know, and I have no regrets, so I have to say, because I wanted to do everything for him. But I remember there would be the odd time when I was building the business and there'd be a networking event on, and some of my friends would be saying, "You've got to go to that, that'll be good for you." And I'd be going, "Oh, let me see what night it is," because I shared custody. And the one thing was, I want them in my life every week. So a lot of people, when they separate, they want their kids 1 week on, 1 week off. I didn't want that. I want them in my life every week until he was 18. So what I would do is, one weekend it would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The following week it would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But he was in my life every week. So I would just miss out on the network thing. I'd say I'd get it again, you know, because I'd be collecting him from school, and I'd be going, "Oh, I'm not good at the network thing because I'm collecting him and bringing him home, doing his homework." So yeah, but I do think mothers, we are brilliant at, you know, but I think we've been taught that, though, the culture in Ireland, the mothers put their kids first. But you see, there's pluses to that and there's minuses to it. You can put your kids first and procrastinate about what you need to do and care for yourself. But it's so funny. I always remember this saying, my mother died when I was only 21, she was 50. And I remember actually saying, if my mother was alive, she never looked after her health. She always looked after us. And if my mother was alive, I would have said, Mum, I would have preferred you not looking after us so much and looked after your health, you know. So, like, it is about valuing yourself, and it is about procrastination. When you procrastinate on yourself, you're not giving yourself time and you're not valuing yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, you really need, but that's great that you brought it back into your life now. So, you know, like as you said, home now, you were saying about housework. Well, it's different. We procrastinate differently at home than we do at work. Now, I know most of us, a lot of us are working from home. I'm not saying that at the moment, but I even find this, like, I'll break up the day. If it's a nice day, I'll go for a walk. And then I might say, oh, I was to do that, and I'll do it later. Whereas when I would have been in the office, when I'd be in the workplace, it'd be just all work. I'd be doing everything. I wouldn't be procrastinating on anything. You know what I mean? So we do let ourselves go a little bit when at home, and then we can procrastinate on the jobs, especially if you don't like them. You know,
I remember when I was doing my NLP training, Joe said I had this conversation. You know, I had OCD in the house. I had it. Now I wish I had it back right now. I've got the opposite. But I remember Joe saying, Roisin, what about saying if I think I was giving up with my kids that morning. I was going out, rushing out, and I went back into the house. I was late. So I went back in to leave the house. Perfect. The kitchen. And I said, I know when I go home, the kitchen's going to be in a mess. The whole house will be in a mess. She said, well, how about reframing that to say that the people you love are at home? I said, well, if they love me, they would clean up after themselves.
Very good point. Very good point.
But I had that. So now I made a promise to myself this weekend and this morning before I came on here that I was going to make, you know, especially when I knew we were talking about procrastination.
Yeah.
Right. Why am I procrastinating about the house? What has changed? You know,
well, that's a good question. What is it that has changed? You know, something changed in your mindset. Something has changed that you are. And talking about OCD, there's a brilliant Netflix series called Mr. Monks. He's a brilliant detective, but he has OCD, and I can never. It's brilliant how they ran it. It's just brilliant. It's just brilliant because it shows how it affects your life. It's excellent. But yeah, but getting back to, so what do you think the reason is, Roisin? What do you think it is about your house that you're procrastinating on at the moment? Is it little jobs or is it a big job?
Both.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah.
I love my house. I love where I'm living. And I think it's just, and I go, okay, well, you've had your rest from having everything perfect in the house and everything clean. I mean, I used to do everything every day, no matter what time I came in, or I used to get up even earlier and do everything.
Right.
Or do the housework before I went to bed. You know, things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to actually do Hoover, dust, polish even before I went to bed. So now I'm going, okay, so what, and that was a question I asked, what has changed? And so now I'm going, maybe I went from, you know, when you're this is just how I'm just thinking out loud now. My priorities have changed. My children have grown up.
Yeah.
Right. Now my son is over in South Lebanon with the Defense Forces, but he's coming home Thursday.
Yeah.
He moved out of his apartment, so I have all his belongings here. Every part of his belongings are back here. Everything from his apartment.
Right.
And I think, okay, I've too much clutter in the house. The house is just too cluttered.
Yeah.
So we decluttered before he went away 6 months ago. We got a skip and we emptied the attic.
Right.
So now I know I need to do my wardrobe. He's always saying, Mama, you need to get rid of some of your clothes.
Yeah.
Don't be bringing any more clothes in. So I'm really proud of myself. I haven't bought any clothes in 6 months.
Right.
And I'm throwing I'm taking clothes to the charity shop.
Yeah.
So what has changed? I think it could be me changing my priorities. But at the same time, it's coming back around. Okay, you know, I'm still figuring out what it is I want for the rest of my life. What is it Roisin wants?
Right.
So my priorities have changed of the children are grown up, being a woman and a mother parenting alone after divorce and separation. And their lives are settled now. My daughter now, she has got her second degree, went in for radiography, postgrad medicine. She's a doctor now. My son has fulfilled his dream since he could crawl, and that was to be in the military and then go overseas. So he's accomplished that. So now I even said, I've been thinking the last couple of days, oh my God, I procrastinated on writing down my goals for the next 5 years.
Right,
Wow. Okay, I'm having a coaching session here, Mary.
right.
But I have. And I
Yeah.
remember when I was out in the kitchen making my cup of coffee before we came on here, I said, okay, I need to write down what it is I want to do.
Mm.
I know that I'm going to with the 2 YouTube channels I have, I love Confident Women Ireland, the Irish Political Roundup, and we've got the local and European elections, and we're working on them. That'll be over. I'm also doing a course with Ellen Gunning with the Academy and Institute, and so I'll finish that in June.
Yeah.
Then I said I'm going to write that book on confidence, mindset, and intuition, but I haven't got the name for it. And you know how you go, once you name it,
Yeah.
right? So I haven't got the name, and I haven't got a beautiful name like what's on your book, but you said you would help me naming it.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
have the content,
Yeah.
so I don't have to do any research. I'm going to start that. Then September, I'm going to have to really reset, not reevaluate what I want from September on
Right.
for the
Yeah.
start of the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So the
Right.
procrastination, I think, is coming there because I haven't got everything clear in my head. Now, years ago, everybody would have said to me, my hot press, my hot press on my airing cupboard, that used to be spotless. And I always knew if I had my cupboards in my house perfect, I knew my brain was clear and I had a clear structure in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe I need to start make it maybe a month or a couple of weeks of just really getting rid of even more clutter. The attic's clear, so maybe I need to do another layer.
Yes. Yeah.
And that might clear my head. So if the clutter around me, I've got clutter in my head.
Oh yeah, I mean, Feng Shui is all about that. I've had a good few people on my course that did Feng Shui, so I'd learned from them. That's the beauty about coaching. And they were saying like never have books over your head as you sleep because it gives you a night where you have a mixed up dream or whatever. And also, little things like don't buy plants that have a kind of a spiky end to them because it brings in conflict into the home. There's loads of little things like that. But you're right about, and I find it too, even a desk, when I in the office, sometimes I had a big desk and sometimes it would be full of stuff and I would be all over the place in my head. And I know when I'd come in and say, I'm clearing my desk today, I would work a million times faster or more productively or whatever. So definitely if that hot press you're talking about, whatever it is that you want to clear, that would make a difference and that would give you clarity in your mind. But the goals as well, the way we do in goals 5 years, I'm just curious about maybe do one for not 6 months and then 6 months to 2 years and then 2 years to 5, because maybe we were talking about earlier about taking bites out of the elephant, just doing a 5-year one. Yeah, maybe a 5-year one is out there. It's, as we do an NLP, when it comes closer to us, it's more motivating. So maybe, the 5-year one, of course, but maybe start by doing your not to 6 months, 6 months to 2 years, and then do your 5-year one as well,
So I need to figure out, I've got a couple of choices I'm going to have to make as well. And I'm procrastinating, not on, I've got two options of two choices.
Right.
And I suppose really that is also another thing. So I'm parking everything because I don't want to I'm not ready to make those decisions.
Right. Okay.
And so
what would have to happen for you to be ready to make those decisions?
One thing, probably I have to clean my house and have my house spotless. And I suppose really I have to get clear in my head. I know it's, you know, when you get two things that you really, really like and want to do, you got these two. So I have to weigh up what direction I want to go in.
Well, I don't know if you did it with Joe, because I know we both trained with Joe Sayers in NLP, but just to say, do you remember I had to make a huge decision 7 years ago, and I was to sell my house or not sell it, and nobody could help me. I just couldn't make my mind up. And I did the exercise that we learned, which is, it's either way, the exercise we used to do, we all do, is the pros and cons about something, but that's a mind cognitive thing, pros and cons. It's not, but remember, without emotion, there's no action. So we move far better with energy, with emotion. So when you write out the question, what do I lose? With your decisions now, with your choices, you say, what do I lose if I go with this choice? What do I gain if I go with this choice? What happens is it's moving your emotions and you'll get the answer. And then you go to the other choice and you go, what do I gain if I go with this choice? What do I lose if I go with this choice? And when you look at the two of them side by side, you make your mind up.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I like the
it will
both of
your
them.
emotion.
I like the both of them, and they're both very passionate. I'm very passionate. That word, I like, and I feel drawn to the two of them. But so even the bot's a negative word. However, I think what I want to do is I think I've been procrastinating for years, and everybody's been asking me to write a book, and I go, no, 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 no. So I'm not a writer. I'm not an author. And then it clicked on me when I was doing a seminar for Ellen Godding. And in the middle, I said, why have you not put this into a book? And it was in the middle of giving that, why have you not put this into a book? So again, when you think about opportunities, create more opportunities.
And I shouldn't be using, but I was going to say, well, this is what Life Gives Me Ready to Listen is all about. You've been given the message by others.
Yeah.
And when I was delivering a long time ago a VHI down in Mayo, in Cahts, this woman on the course, she just went, Mary, you are, this is exactly what she said, you are a fountain of knowledge in this field. And she goes, get that book out, start writing that book. And I'll never forget that day, because I remember coming back in the car saying, she was very strong about it with me. She was like, get that, but and I remember thinking, I never thought of writing a book, like never in my life, So you're getting the messages as well. So it'll begin when you're ready to listen. And procrastination, a lot of the time, comes from us not aware of how great we really are. And that famous inaugural speech that Marianne Williamson did for the what do you call it, the president, our greatest fear is how great we are.
Yeah. And
So,
funny enough, I had that conversation yesterday.
really?
Over lunch with my friend.
Yeah. We don't really truly know how great we are. And going through fears, as we say, fear is false evidence appearing real. It's another story that we tell ourselves. And it's false evidence appearing real. And we build it up by false messages or assumptions. That's what builds up our fear. So to break down the fear, when I work with somebody around fear, which I had to do myself when I missed out that opportunity in Greece, it's like, what was I afraid of? Like, what was I afraid of? And as coaches, we know, walk through the fear, and do then a check on what did I learn? What was my lesson? What am I going to do better moving forward? It's only there. Fear is only there. Sometimes people there's a book by Gavin de Becker called The Gift of Fear. Now, you wouldn't want to read it when you're on your own. It's a bit frightening, but it's very, very good.
Right.
But he talks about the fact that fear sometimes can be a gift. But
Yes.
sometimes though, it is, we're making it up. We're making up the excuses, so we won't write, or we won't do this, or we won't do that. And it's like we let ourselves down when we procrastinate. We're not valuing ourselves, as you know, and we're not valuing our time.
And so another thing that I heard about fear, and I'm not, I won't say it verbatim or paraphrase, but I'll paraphrase it. But what it was, sometimes fear is, I think I mentioned it in the other podcast. It's about leadership with fear. Fear is also brings out all your awareness and all your senses.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And you have to get from this place to next place. So fear can be good because it makes you take action and be proactive.
It does.
So, That's
Yeah,
really
it
good.
does.
But procrastination, sometimes figure out why are we procrastinating,
Yeah.
get to the source of it,
Mm-hmm.
know that
Go
we're
to the
missing
solution.
opportunity,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that we need
yeah.
structure in our days. We need, because we love structure.
But the other point is, and I know you love words as well, is do it a very quick. I always do an internal check. What am I not doing where I use the word have?
Yes.
So if I say to you, oh, Roshan, which I actually do have to do, not choose to go to the dentist. I go twice a year for a checkup. Now, I hate them. I'm really nervous that way. So if I say, oh, I have to go to the dentist, the chances are I'll procrastinate for a month or 2 months. So check in with let's say you mentioned the ironing.
Yeah.
And I hate ironing. I'm very, very lucky my husband likes ironing. I'm just very lucky. But he watches sport as he's ironing, but he will do it. But just to say, anytime anybody hears them saying, I have to, really, they have a choice.
Yes.
It's just that we don't like the job. Sometimes we procrastinate because we don't like the job. I don't like ironing. So we can procrastinate, or we can do it out of fear, the dentist or whatever. So sometimes we procrastinate because we just don't like the job. Now, that one thing that's important there is that when you do your priority, I'm not saying you do it every day, but a lot of us do a priority list of three things, the three top things to do every day. I give who you call it, I'm sure you've heard of the Pareto effect or principle, the Pareto principle. And it's all about looking at the significant three things a day. And then the rest can be listed, but you don't have to do the other thing. You don't choose to do the other things. You do the top three. And what's interesting is that when you make a list like that and you are able every day to review it and do the top three, you become a lot more productive, but you do look at the things that must be done as well that you don't want to do. You must look at them as well. That's the other
Yeah.
thing.
Yep. And it's all about choices, isn't it? You think procrastination is a choice. Procrastination is deciding not to do something, to put it on the long finger, or to do it another time. So procrastination is a choice. And we have to be accountable for procrastinating.
But the other interesting thing about procrastinating is sometimes we procrastinate on doing nothing
Yeah.
about the situation. We do nothing about it.
Yeah.
We ignore it and we're procrastinating. Because people think procrastination is all about doing things or starting things or finishing things or whatever. No, sometimes procrastination is by doing nothing. You're
Yeah.
just procrastinating by not answering or just not doing anything. And that's a choice.
That's a choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a choice. And you also mentioned in your book, procrastination puts your entire day out as a killer. Now that's happened to me in the last 2 weeks. Funny, but we'll talk about procrastination because I was really getting annoyed at myself with procrastination. I said,
Yeah.
I'm getting nothing done.
Yeah. When you have
And
a
it's just
day,
really hit me again.
well, when you have a day like that and you go and look at the time in the evening, go, where'd that day go? I did absolutely nothing worthwhile. That's very frustrating on ourselves. That's very annoying with ourselves. And we get down. I know people, I've worked with people, they suffer from depression over their procrastination. They suffer from depression because they will keep making the excuse. Mary, I don't have the energy. I just don't have the energy. So I had to work with them and say, so when you do have energy, what gives you energy? Where do you go to get this energy from? And do you need to go and get checked with the doctor? Do you need to go on different, vitamins or whatever it is? Because an excuse, we make excuses and assumptions all the time, saying, I don't have the time, when we know we do have the time. It's a choice what we do with our time,
And you also write that in the book too. You say procrastination can drain your energy resources. You do not perform to your best ability.
And you don't, because as I said, you're there working, but you're still thinking about what you didn't do.
Yeah.
Or that phone call you were meant to ring somebody before 10 and you let it go by, and now you're saying, well, I can't do it now, I'll do it tomorrow. But it's still in your head that you had the time, but you just didn't do it.
Yeah. And you also say that procrastination can be subconscious or conscious decisions.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Sometimes if we're not very self-aware, like if we're not very self-aware, we can unconsciously be procrastinating and we don't realize it. And it will take a very good friend to say to you, do you know what, you've been talking about doing this for a year and you're here a year later, you're still not doing it. You know, sometimes you need somebody to tell you because you've forgotten. It's become so normal to you. It's actually becoming normal. It's a habit. You know, when habits become unconsciously competent or unconsciously conscious, you don't actually even know you're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's what really rips and takes advantage of our lives, like we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So tell me then, Mary, you also put in your title in your book, and you go a paragraph, how big of a problem is procrastination?
Yeah, yeah. You see, as well, procrastination is linked to what do we call them? Competing commitments. There's there's a lovely I did it now. I got this work from supervision. And I'll never forget it as long as I live, because Dr. Michael Carl, I think he's still alive, brilliant man. And he told us that what you have to do is you write down something. Let's say I said to you, you know, I want to get down weight. We never say lose because the mind is going to find a way of putting it back on. So you always say, I want to get down to size 10 or size 12, whatever.
Well, I'm doing now. I used to procrastinate by going to the gym. So I used to go in, and my son used to laugh at me. I'd go in and buy all the bottles and boiled sweets, and I could only go into the gym as long as I had a bag of them. Now I don't need any, but I stopped procrastinating by going to the gym. Go on, sorry for interrupting.
Excellent. Yeah. So let's say I said to you, I need to get down to size 12 by July, right? Size,
Yeah.
right. Okay. Then that's the first heading, the goal that you hear yourself giving out about that you haven't achieved yet. So that's the first heading, the goal that you didn't achieve. The next, if I can remember the headings now off by heart, that's the first heading. The next one is, oh yeah, what assumptions are you making about this? So assumptions feed procrastination. So what assumptions are you saying? Oh, a better one, because this happened to me. This man is coming to me for coaching, and he was told by his doctor he had to go back and a drink. Now this is amazing. So he kept saying to his wife, yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to come back and drink. So he decided to come for coaching. Like, that's his choice. I mean, some people would go to other places, but he came for coaching. So I did this exercise with him. So the complaint was, I have to come back and my drink. Then I went to his assumptions, and his assumptions was, oh no, on Fridays, all Fridays, I play golf. And I'm not giving up the drink, I'm not giving up the few drinks after the game of golf. I'm just not doing it. I'm not doing it. And then and also in the assumption he had, oh God, if I give up drink, I won't be so funny. People won't like me. These were all the other assumptions. And if I give up drink, I won't be as popular, and all of this. And he's running through all of these. And I'm going, I had to work with him in all of his assumptions, because they're all self-limiting beliefs about himself. And I won't be any fun if I don't drink, and all of this. I had to work with all of that with him. So in the end, he did cut back, and he stopped procrastinating, and he did cut back on his drink. So what I'm saying is, sometimes the competing commitment, you remember you said about prioritizing. So your children was a competing commitment to your time, rushing. At
Say that
that
again?
time, when you were putting your children first, remember you gave them every priority, they were your priority. So your children would have been at that time in your life a competing commitment to your time.
Yes.
So you could have said to somebody, I have no time for myself. And if we did a competing commitment, it would come down that the reason you had no time for yourself was because you made your children the top priority and you gave them all your time.
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes procrastination happens because there's something more important that we think we need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can make us feel happy. We might feel, oh no, and it can be a value choice. It can be a value choice. You might say, oh, I know I'm leaving that off. I'm not doing it now, but I know why I'm not doing it, because it's a value.
It's a value.
Yeah.
And I think too, as well, is you brought that up, and I remembered it when we were talking earlier. I also now am making friendships, making relationships with friends.
Yeah.
And doing things I wanted to do is a value.
Yeah.
Which before it was the house, the children, was now I'm making my life. And so now I have to get the balance between the values now of my friendships and now the house.
Yes. Yes. That's going to be a choice for you now. Yeah. Yeah. And the amazing thing about the house, I remember being on Marion Fanukin and Laura Mercier, and she brought me on talk about time. And I just said to her, you're in charge of your time. She goes, but Mary, I'd be at the swimming pool and I'd have to have my mobile phone. I said, Marion, that's a choice. I work, I go on a holiday and I check my phone, that everything's okay with family or anything. I put it into the safe and I don't take it out again until that evening when I'm showering to go out again. And I said, I get a really free day, no phones, nothing. I said, it's about a choice, about, and that's what's really important. Time comes in. It's all about time. It's all about time. Procrastination is the thief of time.
And when you think about procrastination, choices, values, priorities, there's a real pattern there, isn't there?
Yeah, they're all linked.
They're all linked.
Yeah. Oh, God.
They're all linked. We also say, and I'm looking for page 66. This is something I loved, and I'm going to get to this procrastination. This is about not dealing with what is in front of you and telling yourself a different story to the real story playing out, because it's easier to pretend than face reality.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved that.
We do that. It's amazing. I know it's an American expression, fake until you make it. But it is true. I mean, we can pretend everything is okay when it's not.
Yeah.
Then play out the reality, We can make an excuse for not doing something, and that's procrastinating as well. And we must have a very valid story. But it's when we tell ourselves lies. And I remember one time saying, every one of us tell ourselves lies every day. We tell ourselves lies. And sometimes it will take a coach to get you to realize that. I really mean that, Russia. People tell themselves lies.
Yes, and I had that conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
With someone as well. A couple of us met for lunch, and they were talking about fear and the lies they told themselves about fear and how fear was keeping them back from opportunities. Procrastination, about even just, allowing fear and the lies associated to that fear.
Yeah. To stop you.
Yeah.
I'm doing what you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we don't realize we tell ourselves lies, and that's where sometimes we let ourselves down big time, Well, I remember going to another talk one. I can't remember who it was now. He was brilliant. And one thing he left me with was he said, we are the story we tell ourselves.
Yes.
So we can make up whatever story, and we can believe in that story, or we can pretend. And we can say, well, this is me, and you get me as I am, and this is it. But it isn't. It isn't. The big question is, do you bring your whole person to the presence of somebody else? I always say present moment consciousness. No, and you love the way you love being in the moment, because sometimes we are not bringing our whole self to the presence of the other person. We're hiding away.
And I know when I'm not in the present moment, as we said before, I know by the tone of my voice.
Yes, I remember you saying that. Very, very true. Very, very true. Yeah. And different people will know it themselves, especially when you need to take 2 minutes, before a session and just meditate, just come into the moment. I find it's really good because when you're totally with them, people they really cherish, they'll overcome anything when you're coaching them once they're in the present moment.
Yeah.
And that's funny. That's why I always say to people, make sure you're not rushing to the session, and make sure you're not rushing after the session, because if they're not on, as you know, they won't be on level 3 listening. They won't be on level 1, and they'll be going through the red jazz of their mind, and they'll be the racing mind, as we call it, and they'll be thinking of the next thing and the next thing. They're not with you at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that doesn't work at all.
And that brings us in lovely that chronic procrastination can lead to failure.
Yeah. Well, you see, even at work, I think I'd give that example in work, which would have been someone I coached. Like, again, a lot of what is in the book is from reality, from people I've worked with, and like they missed out on promotion, and it was her own fault because there was one task that she was always given and she'd leave it to the end, but the team manager or whatever wanted it to be done earlier, but because she didn't like it, the team manager would come down and say, listen, I asked you to do this, to put this as a priority, and you didn't, and because she didn't like it, she still wouldn't do it. Now she'd do it by the end of the week, but she put it on the last, so promotion came up. She was discussing, she didn't get her, so I was working with her at that time, and I said, you need to go and find the feedback, get feedback on the reason you didn't get it. And the first thing the manager, whatever, gave her feedback on was, well, you don't listen to me when I ask you to prioritize, and I have to execute different tasks. I'm given times for everything I do, and I need you to listen to me and prioritize it. Don't be putting it on the long finger, as they say, and don't be doing it as the last thing when I want it as a priority.
Yeah.
So
And that way
affect your
comes down
career.
to procrastination can affect trust in relationships,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
especially in the workplace, because it's
yeah.
teamwork.
Now that's very interesting as well, because when somebody at work, as we know now, there you are, some of them aren't loyal to the absence of work. There's always going to be politics and work, And
Yeah.
the reality is, you can get a name. You can get a name in a big open plan organization where you wouldn't want to give that to them. They always leave it to the last minute. They're known for leaving it to the last minute. Now, there's one important thing I say in the work, and now I know some temperaments mightn't like this, but when I talk about the disc and the different personality traits that people have and different styles of communication, depending on the disc, whether you're red, green, yellow, or blue. The amazing thing is the people that are leaders and are visionaries and are, and I love what Annie Robbins said, and I'm quoting Annie Robbins. He goes, leaders anticipate, losers react. I
I
think
like that. Yeah,
I
Anthony
like it.
Robbins.
I
I really like Anthony Robbins.
adore. He did a thing over the weekend. I meant to send it to you, but you can't listen. It was allowed to listen to it, I think, until today. But anyway, and I didn't get to see it all, which I would have loved. But just to say, so what we're saying is, I lost my thought now. It's about Anthony Robbins and. Oh yeah, so yes, at work people can get a reputation, don't give it to them and never get done. Oh yeah, it happens a lot of work,
It does.
yeah, yeah. And people will get known for that and they won't get promoted,
No.
and then they let themselves down because they know if they had carried out what was asked of them on time, they could have been in there in the group of people that were being put forward to be, promoted. Or it's gone back to these different styles. So the visionary people, the yellow and red, the kinesthetic people, they don't procrastinate half as much as the detailed people. And the
Right.
deep people procrastinate more, the greens and blues, because it keeps saying, oh, well, that's a priority too. Oh, well, and that's a priority too. So they have, instead of having the 3 top priorities, they have 12 priorities on the page. And they're prioritizing everything and doing a bit of everything, but not getting any one thing done.
Done.
Yeah. And that's where the detail comes in.
Wow. All different personality types.
Yeah.
All wow.
Yes, yes. Yes, and I know it in my life. I am very aware of the people I know that are very always, proactive and getting things done. And I certainly know 1 or 2 of the people that are very detailed and they are laid back and they make everything a priority, but they don't get anything finished off. So what you do, the biggest tip in dealing with procrastination is setting dates. Everything for someone that's suffering from chronic procrastination, they need to set dates on everything. So like for me, I'd be saying, okay, Roshan, it's May now. Yeah. So I am going to, let's say you were coaching me. I said, I'm going to be accountable to you and I'm booking in the dentist now. I'm going to put the date in now in June, the 15th of June or whatever. That's how, because I have really worked with people that completely change their life when they put in dates for everything. And the detailed people will work around dates.
Right.
Yes, dates. They won't procrastinate half as much if they put a date in for everything.
Right.
I mean, yourself when we're doing the smart home model, in coaching and for coaching people around goals, if you don't put the time band in, forget about it.
No.
And we talk about the time band being the target, because I often say, without vision we perish. I often say, if you don't have a target, like your name on the book, for example, Roshan, the reason I am encouraging you to think of the name first is because when you have the umbrella and the name of the book, everything falls into place. Whereas if you've not got that target and that name, you could end up writing a brilliant area here and then something nothing to do with whatsoever over there, and it mightn't belong to the one book at the moment that you want to write. So it is very important, not to procrastinate. And the best thing I found when the name came to me, as I said, through people I worked with. And I think you said, Roshan, you're quite intuitive as well. So, and I know there's a great book called, have you ever read the Book of Signs? S-I-G-N-S?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So opening your mind to what's around you and maybe saying an affirmation, the name of the book is going to flow to me or whatever. You just,
I don't know what happened there.
are you okay? Yeah.
Yourself.
But it can happen, yeah. So yeah, I would say open your mind and say something like the name is floating to me right now. The name of the book is coming to me right now. Something like that. And just I guarantee you'll come up with the name very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be part of my procrastination.
Yeah. It could be. Yeah.
So that I sometimes, because people's been asking me for years, I go, no, I'm not a writer. No, sure, I'm giving excuses why not to do it.
Yes. Yes.
Then when I realize when I have everything together, it's bits and lady asked me, said, Roshan, where'd you get that? I said, it's everything I've learned and used all my life. I brought everything together.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, we need as well, we really, really need compassionate inquiry towards ourselves. Compassionate inquiry is understanding that if you start something, and I had a huge challenge with this, because I think I shared with you, Roshan, I started that book, it definitely was 3 to 4 years ago. And I had started it then, but even between then, my older brother died, really, like, sadly, through leukemia. Then my sister that I adored died. And then my auntie that was like my mother from the time my mother passed away. She was like my mother. She died. And now, because I'm very hard on myself, well, we're all our own worst critics. But I mean, I said, get back to the book, get back to the book. But Roisin, my head was full of grief and my head was empty. But like that, people were saying, Mary, I thought you were writing a book a few years. You told me you had started. I said, oh yeah, the name is there. I've started a few chapters started, but I can't mentally go there. And I did go for group counseling because I mean I was really in a bad place. So what I'm saying, Roshan, is that we need to be kind to ourselves. This is what I learned, through grief counseling. We need to say, it's okay. It's reality. I'm not making an excuse. Like I'm not saying, oh, I'll do the book, but I can't do it now. I was given a genuine reason I couldn't do the book because there was nothing in the head because I was so turned over, with grief. So what I'm saying is, yeah, I have a feeling that some of what you're doing is procrastinating. And I think you will start writing the book, but I would encourage you to get the name.
Yeah, because this is a whole new life experience to me, the procrastination.
Right.
In doing things, if I do something, I do it, and I have it structured. So this is something new, and it's that I think even with the housework, I've never had that. So this is something new. Maybe something I have to learn about myself. Maybe this is where I'm learning something about myself.
But they also say, and I agree with Henry Ford said it a different way, but they also say if you find a pattern, if you find something that you're procrastinating on a lot, the easiest route to solving that is get somebody to do the job you hate.
Yeah. But I love housework and I love ironing.
Well then,
I love it. To me, housework's my therapy.
Right.
I put the music up full blast and I clear the decks and then I just go for it.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's my therapy.
Oh, well then, I don't know. What's the reason you're procrastinating on it?
So I'll have to think about that. I'll come back next week and with that answer. I'll think about that. Why my procrastination? I have started, I have started making clear, definite, doing as you said, I've done the little jobs.
Yes. Yeah.
So I've already started the little jobs.
Yeah.
And I think to the decision makings and saying, what am I going to do? What will I do next? And my head must be cluttered. So I need to declutter my house and declutter the dust and the clutter. Everything's in the house. And I go, okay, I have too much stuff. I have too much stuff. And that's my procrastination. I need to de-junk.
Yeah. So even if you said, I'll do this evening, I'll do that part of the cabinet this evening.
Yeah.
I'll do another part in 2 days' time. I'll find an hour, 2 days' time, and I'll do it. Because I do that when I have a job to do that I don't like. Let's say it's a detail, like my accounts, I'd get my accounts in and I'd send them in. what I do is I put the date in my diary as if it's a client. And I have down Mary's accounts. And for those, that is blocked out. And for those 2 hours, that's what I'm doing. And I always get my accounts in on time for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And if I
dates,
didn't put the date
dates
in,
would be
it
good
wouldn't happen.
to, I work with dates. I like dates.
Yeah,
And then I like and being in that present moment. And I think what I've also been doing lately is I've been putting everybody else's needs as well first. And I go, okay, no, only the last couple of weeks I've been saying no, no, no now. So maybe and I'm really proud of myself for saying no to something.
yes, yes,
Even though it was a compliment to be asked to do something, I said no. And I thought, that's me doing that for me.
yes, it is. Yes,
And so, but I think too, it's on a subconscious level, I'm sick of the clutter in the house. I'm
right.
sick of the dust. I'm sick of the untidiness. And then I think, is it because I live on my own now that I've become untidy?
A good question.
And that's something I said, is it because, I live on my own? The kids have flown the nest.
Yeah,
So I made a conscious decision this morning and last night. If I saw anything, I went straight over and went and put it in its little home.
right. That's very good. But you've already made a good start then.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
still something that has been nagging me for a long time
But it
is,
does play at you when you leave
yeah,
things like that. It plays at you. It annoys, but it does drain your energy as well.
yeah. Then somebody called to the house the other night, like, oh God. So I opened the door and I said, oh my God, they're going to see the stage of that. Oh, I haven't done any, excuse me, I haven't done any housework this week, which usually, like I would have had the house spotless, but
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, so I'm going to work on that this week more, Mary. I'm going
Okay,
to
good,
stop procrastinating
good.
on doing something that I love,
Yeah,
which is cleaning my house, which I love.
yeah. Even putting in yourself a date, a time, a time,
Yeah.
and giving this 1 hour to it, and it works. It really works when you bit of
Put on a bit of ABBA, put on a bit of Cher, put a bit of Tina Turner on, and I'll be flying.
Very good. Yeah. While you're working. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, very good.
So you also say, what else? Oh, you know what? It's funny. I just said that. I said no, because you also said in the book, procrastination can manifest through tendency to always say yes to requests when you really want to say no. In return, robbing yourself of time.
Yes.
That came in that one. Now I didn't realize I had that written down there. So it's like really being true to yourself, isn't it? Procrastination is
Yeah.
when you're not true to yourself.
See, what happens is you say yes to something that will take up the time you were meant to give to the thing you're procrastinating on. And you walk away and say, why did I say yes to that? And now I'm putting that on long finger. Now it's going to be another day before I do it. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And I always say, when you say yes to something, what is what? And when you say no to something, what's your yes word? Because if you're saying no to going out at night because you have a young kid, you're saying yes to being with your kid.
Yes.
It's a great checkup. It's a great checkup. So if you're saying, when I remember when a weekend when I'd have my son, and I'd be asked to go out with friends, and I'd be going, hold on now, Mary. If I say yes to go out, I'm saying yes to going out and getting a babysitter for the weekend. I have my son. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do it. So I remember ringing her back and saying, no, I won't be going out. There's going to be more weekends, but I'm not going out when I have my son. So I didn't go out.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a lovely way of saying, if I say yes to this, how do I feel? That's the internal check I do. If I'm saying yes to this, how am I feeling? If I say no to this, how am I feeling? And I have an affirmation that in every decision I make, I always remain true to my values
Yes.
in
And
every
yes.
decision. Yeah.
Yes, and that was another part of our conversation. I said, yes, everything begins with your values.
Yes.
The whole mindset of how you feel, what you say, what you don't say, what you think, your behavior, your actions, your outcomes, even how you feel is all part of our values.
It is, yeah. It's our driver. It's the driver behind every decision.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
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 And we just said that in the book you said procrastination is a thief of time. I like that one, Mary.
Yeah, and I took that from what you call Fagin, is it? What you call the film? I think it's there where I said procrastination is the thief of time. That's a quote from who was it that said that? Was
Oh,
it?
you said thief of time, from Charles Dickinson's
Yeah,
David Copperfield.
yeah. Just to give them the credit because it's not
Yeah,
my sentence, but I
yeah,
really believe it. It is
yeah,
the thief of time. It's the
yeah.
thief of time. Yeah.
And procrastination interferes with the structure of your day. And I've gone my page, procrastination, and we've mentioned about the habits, behaviors, and trust. It all comes down to the trust issue.
Yeah.
If we say we're going to do something,
Yeah.
and then we procrastinate. And it also, this brought me back, as you mentioned it in the book. I went back as a mature student as well to college, and I always noticed the younger students procrastinated until the very last moment,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
all waited to the deadline of when assignments had to be in. And you be there once you get your brief, you'll be there saying, okay, when you have to work as a teamwork, okay, let's do this, and who's doing that? And then you couldn't finish putting the whole group assignment together because someone else procrastinated and didn't do it until the night before.
That happens so much at exams.
Mm.
And I was one as well, the crammer at the end. That's what I say. We cram it all in at the end. And you are raging because what happened, I'll tell you how that affects your life. Because I remember in one of my supervision exams, and anyway, it didn't matter. I'd write a paper, right? And I procrastinated only to get it in at the end. And I did get it. But I remember the lady that was collecting it, and she said, Mary, I think you have an awful lot more to give than what you gave there. And she said, I want to ask you one thing. Were you writing that from the time you were given the assignment and the date, or did you just do it in the last few weeks or whatever? And I told her the truth. I said, I just did it the last. I could see that. And I walked away saying, I let myself. And I did. Now, it doesn't matter, I got it. But if I wanted, to have that high distinction, I wasn't getting it because I did it in one other thing, but I didn't get it in that paper because I know I crammed it at the end.
Yeah. And I too, the procrastination, I had an assignment I had to do, and I procrastinated and procrastinated. And I said, I'm doing this, I just want it done, and I want it over and done with. And I didn't like the assignment, so I procrastinated over the assignment.
Yeah.
And it was that's practically the same feedback that came back to me as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I go, yeah, I had this brief and I was thinking, I go, oh, but so the next one is my final one, and I'm going to just put time aside.
Yeah.
And I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember what I'm supposed to, the brief about it. I remember it briefly. So I'm going to enjoy that one.
Yeah.
And it's about enjoying it. It's about enjoying what we're doing. And once we say, I'm going to set time aside, I'm going to enjoy it, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah.
And
it's all about it's about you valuing you and valuing your time. They're separate, but it's valuing you first and then valuing your time. And
the procrastination is, and I'm going to actually say that from now on, it's a thief of time from Charles Dickenson and David Copperfield.
Yeah. And it's so true. And I've worked, as I said, over the years with so many people that did get depressed and down, annoyed with themselves, frustrated.
It's like I would get annoyed with myself because I always think if the house is clean, the house is tidy, I'm focused.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what I'm doing outside the house.
Yeah.
And I also noticed, too, I notice by what I'm wearing if I'm focused. And because I've been going to the gym, which is a whole new behavior, because I was always an outdoor person. I was never an indoor.
Yeah.
But I'm noticing, and I suppose maybe this is because of COVID, I've been wearing tracksuits, and I don't even like the tracksuits that I'm wearing, know?
Yeah.
I don't even like them.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that when I'm wearing the tracksuits around the house, I'm procrastinating.
That's interesting, isn't it?
So it depends on what clothes I'm wearing.
Well, there must be an unconscious message there in your own mind, which is something like, these are the clothes I wear when I can be lazy and I don't do much. And there has to be a connection with the tracksuits. Yeah. Yeah.
And I suppose too, you know what, before I started, when I go to the gym, now I ignore myself. I When I even put on the tracksuit to go to the gym, which is only
Yeah.
across the road, across the green,
Yeah.
I'm starving with hunger.
Ah,
I get starving all of a sudden I'm starving with hunger. So that procrastination and sabotages me from getting to the gym at that time. So now I've just said, okay, well, you're hungry, Roshan, you may just wait until you come back from the gym.
yeah. That's an example of procrastinate and the little gremlin saying, you know, I'm
Yeah,
hungry now, I'm hungry now, trying to stop you from doing what you're meant to do.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
And when
yeah.
you think the gremlin and that film, The Bright Lights, the more we procrastinate, the less we see the bright lights and the opportunities.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And the gremlin, like I call mine snowflake, go away snowflake, you know, and it just makes me fun something. Because you can't call your gremlin. You see, the reason you separate yourself and give the gremlin a name is because then it has less power. Because
Uh-huh.
you know all of this through NLP. You're not then associated, you are disassociated.
Disassociated.
So mine used to be, I used to call my gremlin sugar, but then I realized, no, Mary, don't call it sugar because you'd be inclined to eat more sweet stuff. That's
Yeah.
why I changed it to snowflake. And it's amazing because when you call it that, the mind can only think one thought at a time. So if you go, let's say I'm starting to procrastinate on something, and the gremlin is saying, ah, yeah, if you could do it again, I go away, snowflake. And then I say, Mary, come back into being proactive. And I
Yeah.
come back into being proactive. So it is very good to give the gremlin a name. Now, don't call it something that you hate because it'll bring your energy down. You don't, and one woman wants to call it after her ex-boyfriend. And I said, don't do that because it'll bring your energy down. You know, you can't give the gremlin a name that you're emotionally involved in. You have to give it a name that means nothing to you. Now, I love snowflakes, but I mean, it means nothing to me. Some people call their gremlins they call the gremlins cartoon characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I will share this joke. Not joke, this story. This man took this very serious on the course because we deal with the gremlin, I think, on week 2 or whatever, and we're dealing with the gremlin. So the exercise was to go away and write down every time the gremlin came up and what has said, what has stopped you from doing. Because it feeds procrastination, it feeds it, right? So they all came back the next week, and one of the exercises was to give the gremlin a name. So he gave his gremlin, I think it was one of what you call the old style cartoons where is it the cat goes after the mouse? It's one of those characters
Tom
there.
and Jerry.
Yeah, Tom and Jerry. So I think he called his Tom and Jerry, even though it's 2 names, but it was the cartoon. He only thought about the cartoon. Go away, Tom and Jerry, or whatever. So he had a weakness in asking girls out. And what would happen was, now at that time it was all meeting them in pubs and all of that, it wasn't all online. So when he'd go out with lads and they'd be all chatting, but he wouldn't chat. Like he said, I say not very much, because he's just nervous about it. But this day, the gremlin was saying, no, for shit, even though I saw somebody looking at him, the gremlin was saying, no, she wouldn't be interested in you. So he goes into the loo, and the gremlin is very active. And the gremlin is saying, no, she wouldn't be interested in you. And he's going, will you go away, Tom and Jerry? Just go away, Tom and Jerry. And this man knocked on the door and he said, excuse me, is there somebody in there with you? Like, now, I'm not telling it as good as he told us, but he had us all dying laughing because he actually was calling the gremlin out loud in the bathroom. And this man thought it was Tom and Jerry in there with him. It was very funny. He told it far better than I'm telling it. It was very funny. Yeah.
Imagine that
Yeah.
conversation, and when you go in, you listen in the bathroom and you hear somebody having go away, Tom and Jerry in the bathroom in the cubicle.
I know it was so funny. It was really so funny, you know.
But you know what, Mary, you have really, I really, really, like every week, every 2 weeks, every fortnight, I really enjoy our conversations because, you know, I just go away feeling much lighter, and especially talking about topics I love with someone who I really respect and admire and like. Because you've taught me, you know, I'm so proud because I heard your name being mentioned for years and years and years. Never knew who Mary Curran was, but always heard your name.
Right.
And when you think it was by fluke, because
Yeah.
I never go onto LinkedIn, never. I'm very
Wow.
hardly on social media. And I
Yeah.
went in, and you and Ellen were the first
Yeah.
posts I saw.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is interesting. And because, you know, anything with Ellen pops up, I look and I, wow.
It is amazing. It really is.
I didn't procrastinate that day, Mary.
No, you did not. No. And I must say, I mean, it's great talking to somebody though that has the same background, that
Yeah.
is the coaching and is in, it's really good because we understand each other's language and
Yes.
etc., which is really, really important,
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're passionate about it.
Yes. And I think too, especially with what we're talking about and about coaching, for me, it's, a lot of people say, oh, coaching's a coaching is this and coaching's areas. But no, for me, as I said last time, coaching is about it's about reconnecting, navigating it navigated me, and it navigates anyone who I know when I use coaching, navigating them to connect with themselves, who they are, and be themselves, be in the present moment.
Yes.
And that's what coaching is for me.
It's powerful. It's really, really powerful.
It's so powerful.
It is, really is. It changed my life, coaching. It really did. It changed my life.
It really has changed my life. And I remember when I was doing the coaching course, going, yeah, there's something missing. Then all of a sudden, I was scrolling again, and I was sitting out in the garden, funny enough, with my flowers. And oh my God, NLP. I didn't even know what NLP was. NLP for sport. I still have it. This is the book that came up. This is the book. I knew nothing about NLP, but this was it. Sporting excellence, right? I said, oh, what's NLP? And all of a sudden and then I wrote in it, I have it. There, look. I wrote in it, and it was in the garden here. And I usually put dates in. I've even got names of the people and their phone numbers who's on my coaching course with Owen McCabe and the ILI.
Yeah.
And that was then. I went, okay. So then I sat and look, like everything else. If anybody likes books and hates, I underline and highlight everything.
Yeah.
And that, to me, it was the NLP that really connected me to me.
Yeah. Oh, it's and when I mean that, I mean I was at a training course when I heard the name NLP, and then I trained first in my practitioner with Paul McKenna and Bandler, madman, but a genius. And then I wasn't happy with just this. I wanted to do the diploma, and then I heard Joe was doing it in Ireland, and it was the best thing I ever did. But I absolutely love neurolinguistic programming. It's so powerful. It's just so powerful. Couple that with coaching and emotional intelligence, they're all just brilliant. They're just brilliant skills then.
And it's about language, and it's about how you speak to yourself. Yeah. And it's about the language we use, the feelings, the emotions, the behaviors, the actions, the outcomes. But most of all, it's about for me, and for many other coaches that I know, it's about connecting to ourselves. Yes. And it's about being ourselves for ourselves.
Yes.
And also, not forgetting our responsibilities.
Well, I think that's beautiful the way you said that, being ourselves for ourselves. That's a lovely quote. You must put that in your book.
I always use that.
I like that. I really do. Because when I was training for the American platform, in coaching, I mean, I had over a year to do, to be coaching there. And I'll always remember one of the things they said to me was, in coaching, we encourage you to bring your whole self to the session. Not like you would have been told years and years ago, when you come to work, you leave the baggage outside the door. Or when you do this job, leave the baggage outside the door. They said, no, we want the whole person. The whole person arrives, and we will work with you on how to deal with what's happening in your life. We don't avoid it, and we don't park it outside. And I just thought, I love this. Because we have been told, and I remember one of my supervisors said, Mary, you decompartmentalize too much. And I would say I do, because, and when you do too much of something, it becomes a negative. And it's because it was my survival mechanism.
Yes.
We all build, as personal constructs from time we're 0 to 7, and we our values and needs are formed at that time unconsciously. But what I'm saying is, from there on, we build these constructs of our personality, and from there, then we get into a stage where we move on. But what I'm saying is, the reason I'm saying this now is about NLP. It's about being your whole self and not being told, leave that and I forget about that. Oh yeah, disassociate, because it'll all come back and bite you. Remember the famous saying, whatever you resist, persists until you deal with it. Whatever you resist, persists until you deal with it. And I love that. And sometimes needs are the unfinished business from childhood and don't raise their head when everything's going brilliant in your life. It doesn't needs don't raise their heads. But when you get a knock and things go wrong, up comes the needs that you've ignored, the needs that weren't fulfilled. It's amazing, just amazing.
Yeah, I had a great childhood, I have to say.
Yeah.
I loved my childhood.
Yeah, that's brilliant. There's a brilliant man, Dr. Gaber. I can't remember his surname. He's brilliant. He talks a lot about drama, and he always talks about childhood.
Yeah, I had a really adventurous childhood.
I remember you said brilliant. It sounds you had a fantastic time.
I did, and I suppose really, I remember in Saudi Arabia, when we lived in Saudi, I met this a lady to the riding school in Saudi. Her name was Vicky Caldwell, and I stayed in touch with her right until she passed away in 2017.
Right.
And I remember the last thing I said, I didn't want my son had this obsession, he was joining the military. I said, don't want him to join any army, don't want him to join. Yeah. And she said her last words before she passed, a couple of days before she passed, she said, he will look absolutely handsome in his military uniform. Every time I see him in his military uniform, I get this wave of love for him, but because she always stuck up. I used to tell everything. I kept saying I didn't want a dog. But Roche and a dog would bring so much joy and love to the family. So to my son. So I always say we had the dog because of Vicky.
Yeah.
And then, so I have that connection. I had that connection between Vicky and my dog and my son. And now the military, he's in the military, so in the army, the defense forces. So I always think of Vicky and my son, because they really got on. They used to talk to one another, never met, but they got on. We always stayed in touch. So so I had a lovely childhood,
That's the foundation of everything. Rose,
Yeah.
have a lovely childhood is a foundation that sets you up.
I had challenges. I had challenges. I had enormous challenges.
Oh, I'm not saying that, but because I only delivered on resilience last week, and I have to be honest. So when you have that childhood, it builds your resilience in there.
Yes.
So any challenges that come up, you have the resources to deal with them. Whereas someone that's had an unhappy childhood and have a lot of drama, whatever in it, they don't have those resources. Remember. No. And when they hit challenges, they can go very down, very down. Now, I mean, I know there's a lot of checkup things I do when I talk about resilience, but I'm just saying, when you have had a beautiful child like you, it sets you up for life. It's like the foundation of a building. You're set up for life.
Yeah.
The walls won't shake, nothing will fall. But if you have a really bad, childhood, and many different people have different bad childhoods in very different ways. Unfortunately, God love them, they will go through life with pretty hard challenges, until they build their own self-awareness and build themselves up.
Yeah, my challenges came in my late 20s, up until, so I have my challenges. I see my biggest challenge was because when I was born, I just had a big hole. I didn't have a palate, I didn't have a nose, I didn't have teeth. And so I never spoke until I was 5. And I died 3 times apparently before I was 3 on the operating surgery. Yeah. And so then I went to speech therapy for 25 years. I was actually pregnant with my son when I remember I was pregnant with my son. I remember what I was wearing too. And when my last and I had him when I was 29.
Right.
And so, I never spoke, and here I am speaking for
That's a miracle, Roche.
Yeah. So I had challenges.
Look at your determination, though.
Yeah, I would be very determined.
Look at the determination you have. I mean, you don't get that from nowhere. You get it from your wonderful childhood. You got that determination is unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
It was funny how you talk about the determination. I remember I had this black pony called Storm in Saudi Arabia, and he killed three horses, and he killed other people. He was really dangerous, and but he loved me. right? And
Yeah.
my sister went on, he would try and get her off, but he loved
Ah,
me, right? And everybody would come up in the competitions in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia and go, what is that girl doing on that horse? Get her off that horse, it's dangerous. So we went then to Dhahran, we had Aramco, there was a competition. They had this beautiful cross-country event course, like it was amazing. And so we met Vicky. I remember she was wearing yellow jumpers with her hair tied back under a tree, drinking a cup of coffee and smoking a cigarette. She's, Roshan, come with me. I'm going to show you the fence that Storm's going to give you hassle at. So she took me to the fence. It was underneath a tree, and right. And I remember the big green and the sun was belting down, but it was in the shade. She said, you have to, I remember it's a tree on the trunk of a tree, red and white, right, red and white poles and a red oil barrel. And she said, you have to decide whether you are going to go over it, under it, or around it, but you've got to make a decision how you're going to get to the other side. And that's always stuck with me. Going to either go around it, under it, or over it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I always had that determination. I think if you have determination, that's a great driver in life.
It's brilliant to have it. It's excellent. Well, it's even topping that when Di would say, have the determination that gets you there, and then become unattached.
Then become?
Unattached to the end result.
Yes.
That is unreal.
Isn't it?
Because, you know, when we were qualifying as coaches, we were all trained so much on setting goals and you must achieve the goal, you must achieve the goal. But I was years later that I realized sometimes what the goal you set isn't meant to happen for you and it won't happen. And how you deal with that, how you deal with that unexpected expectation not being met and letting go to allow, that takes trust of the universe. Yeah, because I know people that get attached to their goals and it doesn't serve them. It doesn't serve them. And when they don't achieve it, they give themselves the hard time to give out about everybody or anyone that was involved in it. And I also was, it wasn't meant, it wasn't meant to be, because as you know, as we always say, the journey is the destination. Everybody thinks it's the destination that counts, but it's not. It's the journey that takes you there that counts.
I would say my biggest coaching and my goal in coaching is to, as I said, just to be me for me. I think that's the biggest gift I can give me, but to give everyone else.
Yeah. And one of the things I always say is when you start with somebody, you meet the client where they're at in their life. And it's always their agenda, but meeting them where they're at. So when they arrive, if they're stressed, or you do a little session or a little relaxation with them, but you meet them where they're at.
Yes.
Rather than where you think they should be, or where they might be, or where they're coming from. Well, you know this because you come into the present moment.
That's what I was just going to say. When you meet somebody where they're at, you're in that present moment with them. And when you're in that present moment, everything is possible. The whole world is possible.
Yeah, everything flows. Everything flows.
Well, then, you know what I have to do now? I have to connect to that determination. I have to allow myself to get into to get the big jobs and the small jobs done in the house and declutter, and just allow myself to do it and let go of the end result.
Yeah, that's a good ask. That's a good ask, Rosie. And the next time we meet, you really will need to be accountable and tell me how well you're doing.
Well, see, now I have to be accountable to come back to you and say, yes, I did it. In 2 weeks' time. And there's my date. In 2 weeks' time, I'm saying, Mary, I did it. I'm proud of myself.
And icing on the cake would be if you come up with the name for your book as well. But I'm not putting pressure onto you.
We'll do that. We'll do that. And that would be something that we can say we've done to doing. That's a journey. We say at the end of this, maybe when it's done. And Mary, you were with me the whole way.
Well, it will be interesting. It will, yeah.
It's really interesting too, because you know nearly everybody who I know within the coaching world and NLP and the PR. That my biggest heroine in that is indeed Ellen Gunning. And she was when you think about it, so Ellen Gunning, who I just have so much respect for and admiration for.
It's it's just so funny how we all connected. It's just so
Yeah,
yeah.
all from just intuitively, instinctively, just clicking on to LinkedIn, where I don't go on. And there you were. And I didn't procrastinate. You see, that's fate. When you don't procrastinate, you're aligned with fate.
Yeah, and you see, you mentioned earlier about trust, Roisin. The biggest challenge for all of us in life is to have the blind trust. Blind trust. So blind trust is with 100% conviction that's going to happen, or whatever it is that you're trusting, you know. But having blind trust means that you don't look for evidence, you just know. It's a knowing. It's like coming from your gut feeling. It's like
Yeah,
blind trust is kind of a knowing, you
yeah.
know.
And there's that intuition. And we can only have that blind trust is when we are ourselves for ourselves, and
Yeah.
we trust ourselves, and we trust our intuition.
And there's no what's amazing there, because I have dealt with people who didn't trust people because they had references in the past, they let them down. And I would start with them and say, well, we start the day with the book that starts with you. Do you trust yourself? And 9 out of 10 people that don't trust others
No,
let you know they don't trust themselves.
yes,
They don't trust their decisions. They don't trust the way they think. And as a coach, you have to start there with them, because
yeah,
you can't give respect to somebody else if you don't have it for yourself.
yes,
There's nothing to give. So you
yeah,
can't give trust to others. You won't trust anyone if you can't trust yourself in your own decisions. And people forget it starts with us. That's why we need to resource ourselves and look after ourselves
yeah,
so much, because we can only give our best if we're being as you said, nourishing ourselves and being our best self.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Mary, I love this conversation. I just, every week I get to know you a lot more and a bit more and a bit more. And that's where trust and friendship comes. We're
Yes.
virtual friends.
Yes.
We haven't
Isn't it?
met in person yet.
That's true. That is so true. Well, I guarantee you something's going to happen there. We're going to meet, in person.
Definitely, yeah.
Without doubt. It'll happen over
Yeah, I
time.
do. And I think, I'm so delighted, to have met you after, like I said, all years I've heard your name and, your book. And what I'm loving is, because I read your book, now I'm reading each chapter for each this. And it's really resonating with me. I'm really sharing this, your beautiful book and your beautiful coaching with Confident Women Ireland. It's an absolute honor and privilege to do that.
Well, I'm honored that you're doing it, Roshan, because one of my biggest weaknesses, I know we talk about weaknesses in coaching, is I don't market myself. Like I don't promote myself. It's my whole coaching business would be reputation. When I did the
Yeah,
diploma, it was always referrals. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's wonderful. It's wonderful that you're doing this, because I'm enjoying it. I'm learning as well. We all learn from each other
we
in
do.
coaching, and
We-
just one thing you said there, which I love, which I will remember, is I'm being myself for myself. I
Yeah.
love the way you put that. I never heard it like that.
Have you not?
Never heard. No, never. No. It,
Yeah,
it is lovely. I am being myself for myself. It's just a lovely way of being authentic, isn't it?
yeah.
I'm very strong about people being authentic, because I can't stand false people.
No.
I can't. It's one of my pet hates.
Yeah, and especially too, I think when when you're yourself for yourself, you also there was somebody tried to dump something on me the other day, and years ago I went blah 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 and reacted, and I just said, you know what, that's not nothing to me. I'm not getting involved, and I'm not taking that on.
Right.
That's nothing to do with me.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah.
And I just put down the phone and went, I'm not going there.
Yeah. That's
That's
excellent.
that's something you need to sort out with yourself
Yeah.
from my head to the other person,
Yeah.
and that's nothing. I'm not owning it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And I
very
think
good.
when we do that, and I think when you do that, you be yourself for yourself.
Mm.
Then you're being yourself for everyone else too.
Yeah. And people sense that. People absolutely, we're energy beings. We sense it. Like
Yeah,
you walk into a room, you can sense the energy in a group of people in seconds. We
yeah,
are very high energy beings.
we are.
Yeah.
Mary, thank you so much indeed.
Thank you.
And
Thank
we'll
you.
we'll be back in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And do you know what you're going to talk about in 2 weeks' time, or will we come back? Will that be a surprise?
Yeah, we'll keep it a surprise, because I
Surprise.
haven't thought about it. But yeah, yeah. Great.
I'm sure I'm going to learn so much about that too. So and so will the audience, and just delighted that you're part of the Confident Women Island. I just love it, and I feel as if it's bringing, especially when you brought confident coaching to Ireland with another group of you, that I think going it forward now, Ireland and women and everyone, even men, are going to need your expertise. And there was a reason why you were one of the first people in Ireland to bring coaching to Ireland. And thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Roisin. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, it would be lovely to have maybe a podcast with you, Owen, Adrian, Marcus, and Joe Sayers all in one podcast. That would be some
It would be
podcast.
something. It would be something. It certainly would.
Mary Curran, thank you so much for taking the time to talk and share all your knowledge, your wisdom and expertise with Confident Women Ireland today. I really, 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 really appreciate it, and I value it. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity.
Thank you, Roisin. Very, very much.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you for the opportunity.